Footsteps echoed as soldiers walked down the hall. I was 20 years old on August 12, 1947. I was discharged from the military at the 463rd American Air Force Base, Fort Francis C. Warren, on August 31st. I was so excited that the medics made me lie down on the examination table for a time so my blood pressure would go down. I was afraid that they wouldn't let me out. Walking through the gate was one of the best feelings of my life. My term of service ended on September 27th. When I got home, I bought a 1936 Ford coupe that was in good condition from earnest weather. Its 8-cylinder engine had plenty of power, and the car went fairly fast. Speed caused a little problem because the car was equipped with mechanical brakes and wouldn't stop when I applied the brakes. The mechanical brakes were terrible. When I drove down Market Street Bridge and applied the brakes to stop at the traffic signal at the bottom, the only thing that the brakes did was to slow the car down. I had to plan my stops, and I kept the car until 1952 or 53 and never had an accident. One evening when I went to Youngstown with Jim Ramsey and Frank Hughes, we stopped at Petrarchus' Brothers Confectionery Store on 131 West Federal Street in Youngstown and met some student nurses that Jim and Frank had met in Geneva on the lake the summer before. One of the students was Isla Ray Ewing, a high school classmate of mine, and the other one was Dorothy Jean Mullen. Everybody had a good time, and we went our ways. A few days later, Jim was going out on a date with Isla Ray and asked me to join them. I said I didn't know anyone to ask, so Isla Ray found a date for me with Dorothy Jean. Well, you know the rest. I started dating her. We're sitting in a photo booth at Idora Park. This is a picture of Dorothy as a student nurse. We would double date with John Anderson and Jean Reardon. We would go out and swim on the lake in Boardman. We are standing out in front of the nurses' residence at Southside Hospital. After a couple of jobs, I got a job at the Youngstown Sheet and Tube in Struthers, and I was at the laboratory. I was hired to do unskilled work on the day shift. The lab was located in a building on the southwest corner of Fulton Avenue and Walton Avenue in Struthers. Later, I was promoted to shift work at $1.54 an hour. The shift work was 5 days off, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., 2 days off, 5 days of 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., 2 days off, and 5 days 11 to 7 a.m., 2 days off. The 2 days off that I had after 3 to 11 was actually 2 whole days off because I had to work the day shift at the 11 p.m. on the second day off. Shift work caused a number of problems because I was courting Dorothy and I couldn't be with her as often as I wanted to because her time was limited while she was in nursing school. My body function did not keep in sync with the shifts. It was difficult for me to sleep in the daytime, and days off were never the same day of the week. And it was difficult to do anything with anybody. I knew that I could not continue to work in the lab because I was colorblind. I was 21 years old on August 12, 1948, and bought an alcoholic drink legally for the first time. I registered to vote. I went to local board 80 Mahoning County of the Selective Service System on September 10th. Dorothy's uncle, Hans P. Johnson, died at their house in January 1949, and they had the funeral in the home, and this is the first time I ever experienced anything like that. Then after the funeral, he was buried in Lowville Cemetery. On May 12, 1949, Dorothy Mullen graduated from the School of Nursing of the Youngstown Hospital Association. Her first job as a graduate nurse was a staff nurse on the afternoon shift at Trimble Memorial Hospital in Warren. We went out after she finished work. I waited in my Ford at the rear of the hospital, and it was usually 30 minutes to an hour before she came out. We spent time together in a small neighborhood bar on Warren-Cleveland Road. Because I worked turns at the mill, we could only go out after work 2 weeks out of 3. Dorothy passed the Nursing State Board test on July 1st and passed the examination with an average of 86.4%. She received the highest grade of anyone in her graduating class. Ralph and Mary are standing at the back of their home on 1070 East Avenue. I knew I couldn't continue working at the lab because I was colorblind. I wanted a skill in something else. I contemplated going to a technical school to learn how to repair television sets, and kept it in mind in case I couldn't graduate from college. Since I was in the Air Force for 18 months, I was eligible to receive benefits in the GI Bill for 30 months of college education. I paid a small subsistence, all costs of tuition, books, and supplies. I didn't know if I could pass college courses or how much I remembered since I graduated from high school. I didn't know how much I learned because while I was at high school, I had no intention of going to college. I decided that Youngstown College was a good place to start. When I told my parents I was going to college, they were very unhappy. They thought I was set for life while working at the Youngstown Sheet and Tube Company. I would always have an employment and make lots of money. $3,200 a year in 1948. I was 22 years old on August 12, 1949. I enrolled at Youngstown College of Arts and Sciences in September. There were 1,000 students in the freshman class, and men outnumbered women 4 to 1. The total enrollment at the school was 4,500 students. Many classes were held in temporary buildings such as surplus Army barracks. After I found out I had no problem with schoolwork, I decided to go away to a pharmacy college somewhere in Ohio. After I told Dorothy I was going away to college, we decided to marry. I didn't have the slightest idea why I chose to be a pharmacist, but it might have been an idea I developed after discussing it with a supervisor in the lab in the mill. I thought that the pharmacist who lived next door would have an easy life. All he had to do was sit back and the money would roll in. The classes at Youngstown College were not difficult, and I received good grades even though I was spending a lot of time with Dorothy. I planned to go to West Reserve College of Pharmacy at Cleveland, but they had just closed. The College of Pharmacy at Ohio Northern University in Ada, Ohio was my next choice. Dorothy and I drove to the college to determine the admission requirements, but when I went to the admission office, I received no encouragement. They weren't even polite, so I decided to go to a pharmacy college at Ohio State. The pharmacy program at OSU was 2 years of pre-pharmacy and 3 years of pharmacy courses. I enrolled at Ohio State University College of Arts and Sciences and was admitted to the summer quarter the following year.